Well, let's return to our discussion with VOA national correspondent Jim Malone and Washington-based Africa political analyst Emira. Now, and of course, there we'll talk about America's policy and America's position in the world. Jim, just briefly, you know, people listen a lot to what is said on the campaign trail. But looking at, you know, the reality on the ground, you've covered these elections over, you know, many years, and you've seen what presidents accomplish. We know they have immense power. But how much, say, of what President-elect Trump has promised, is he realistically able to shape or influence the change of in the short term? And how much of it may be a little more difficult over the long term?
Well, of course, we don't know. I mean, what we do know is when presidents come in, many of them believe they have a mandate to act. Many of them cite their program that supporters rallied around. This is what they do. They point to the political capital that was given to them by voters. Therefore, they believe they owe those voters action. But here's the unknown about Donald Trump. He was not tethered strongly to one party or the other. He had his issues with Republicans, who now, by the way, have retained control of the Senate and House. That could be a good thing, but it could also set up for more tensions. So will Trump go ahead with plans to build a wall with Mexico? What will he do about immigration, Muslim immigration in particular? How will he go about repairing the national wounds from this campaign? Can he even do that, given his propensity for divisive rhetoric? A lot of questions here, but when they come in, presidents generally want to act to show those loyal supporters, and they came out of the woodwork for him in all these states, that he's going to do their bidding.
But now, Emira, listening to, you know, part of his speech, actually, if you listen to all of it, there's that tone, a changed tone, a kind of a reconciliation, and he's talking about, you know, bringing everybody together for immigrants and for all those other groups who felt threatened if Trump becomes president. Do you think that kind of tone helps people calm down and perhaps look to the future rather differently, without so much fear and worry?
I don't think the issue is calming down. I think the issue is organizing. And I think what you will see is that on the left, particularly black and brown young people, they were outside in large numbers outside the White House even before the President-elect Trump made his acceptance speech, right? So I believe that the organizing in the streets is going to be intense in this country.
But what does it achieve?
There will be a pushback.
What does it achieve?
Well, I think what will happen is that there will be a real pressure to take back Congress in the next 2 years, and that those forces, particularly those young Bernie Sanders supporters, they will be enforced, demanding that their voice be heard 2 years from now in the electoral cycle. But they will also be in the streets, holding up a different vision of the world, that those movements, Black Lives Matter, that have gained such ground around the world, they will continue to find their footing and to find ways to express both their vision for America and for the world. So on issues, ultimately, like the economy, which touches all communities in the U.S. and around the world, those forces will apply pressure, not for the rich to get richer,
just as
but
they have
for
been
the real
applying pressure. These are some of the
Absolutely.
same issues people have been fighting for even for the last 8 years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on issues like, you know, peace and security, countering terrorism, there will also be a pushback, because I think fundamentally the U.S. is tired of war. So if you have now a return of, you know, and some say it may be like Newt Gingrich, who is the Secretary of State, and a real return to some of the forces that were the hawks, right, from the U.S., I think there will be a pushback against that, both in terms of the costs in treasure and also the costs in lives in the future.
Yes. Now, Jim, I mean, Trump gets elected, and it comes in with the benefit, of course, the House. You know, he has the Senate. He has everything. Does that make life easier for him, especially for his first promise of undoing Obamacare? And
it should make it more doable in a sense. But Democrats have enough seats in the Senate that they can make life difficult for the president to come in because they can block things. You know, we knew, based on the outcome of the election, about half the country was going to be unhappy. Most people following the polls thought it was going to be the Trump followers. This is an unexpected shock to the Democratic Party. I think there's going to be a lot of self-reflection in the Democratic Party now. Perhaps some second guessing. Did we nominate the right candidate? Was Hillary Clinton too flawed from the start to be the standard bearer? So there's going to be a lot of discussion on that going forward in the party.
How about the Republican Party? You know, some just literally kept away from him. Some very openly said they have nothing to do with him. What happens to that party?
It's kind of a mystery to me, too. It's going to be a work in progress. You just saw Paul Ryan today commending Trump for winning, but they've had their issues. Ryan may not be even able to return as House Speaker since the conservative bloc there has grown in strength and may want to change him out for someone else. So the whole political calculation in this country, and the world knows this, has been thrown off.
Emira.
But it's not just the U.S. We have to really recognize that there is this push from the right. It's, you know, it's places like the Brexit where you see the push from the right. It's Brazil, it's Denmark. It's really, you know, recent elections have shown the strength of the right. But I believe that there will be a pushback from the left, and that you will have this counterbalancing of forces that will shift political discourse and will also shift the destinies of particularly the young generation that is demanding real change.
For those in Africa, you think it's time to heed that counsel from that gentleman we saw, Malone, saying it's time for Africa to focus on getting their own solutions rather than waiting for who becomes the U.S. president and how that will benefit our country?
Without a doubt. When it comes to Africa, honestly, whether Republican or Democrats, Africa has been on the wrong end of the picture. You know, if it comes in terms of trade, Africa has seen unequal trade. Even with the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, it hasn't brought much growth nor opportunity to Africa, right? And it's benefited the narrow few, often U.S. corporations. So a rebalance is needed for Africa to really set its own agenda. And I believe that when you see things like this climate change issue, where Africa has taken the lead, it's areas like that where we can continue to take the lead for the whole world.
Thank you both.